Hey guys,
Hey, you can see me.
look at that.
Alrighty, welcome back to episode 2 of the Weekly 4 and 5 podcast. I'm your host, Reed Indart. We are back. Sorry for the little absence on both the Instagram and kind of just everything. Been doing a lot, been moving. So that's been interesting. Just got another job. So we're back, and today we are talking Niners. And we're just gonna get this out of the gate really fast. It's just me. I've got no friends to talk to, so if you are a Niners media page and a Warriors media page, hell, everyone, Niners, Giants, and Warriors, and want to be a part of this podcast, I would greatly appreciate it. Just hit me up in my DMs. Instagram's kind of always been my main form of content, so yeah, hit me up there. Very excited to kind of get to know a lot of you guys. So yeah, again, if you want, don't have to. Who knows? Yeah, and then another thing I just want to get out of the way really fast. Football is my least knowledgeable sport. I feel like I've always watched football, but I never, like, up until the last 4 years, have never really sat down on a Sunday and be like, okay, let's watch the game and not kind of pay attention to what everyone's doing, what the plays are, how the team is playing, and not just sitting around and watching it, kind of doing homework or doing school, and just like seeing, oh, okay, well, the Niners lost, whatever. Up until this, like, the last 5 years since I kind of started and finished college, I've been very, very, very into it. So it's fairly new to me. I feel like I have a decent knowledge, but I'm not, like, I don't know everything. So this is going to be an interesting episode because I don't really know how it's going to go. So again, if you have more football knowledge than I do and want to talk shop, it's fun. You guys saw it with Sam, Lucille News. Shout out to him. It's just a good time. So yeah, if you want to be part of this, hit me up. Let me know, and we'll get something in the works. Okay, so this is going to be a fun one. The Niners are 2 weeks into a 3-week preseason slate, so there's only 2 weeks until the regular season starts, and that's pretty exciting. Been a long winter and a long summer without any football. I've kind of been wondering how I'm going to make this work, and here we are. So training camp has been in full swing for a very long time. And now we just finished week 2 of preseason in Las Vegas. We'll get to that in a second. But my kind of preseason training camp thoughts originally, they look like, obviously they have a very, very good team. I think there are definitely some holes, especially now with just the mass amounts of injuries that they've, and I have the injury report pulled up, so I'll reference that probably a few times. So, but just with the injuries they've had, it's been kind of a funky little game of cat and mouse, just kind of figuring out who's who, where, like who goes where, who plays well where, who plays well, who doesn't play well. So it's been interesting. They didn't have a great season last year. We know this. Kind of out of nowhere. Again, the injury bug bit them last year. That's new. That's fairly new for when I've been really watching Niners football. They've always been a fairly healthy squad, been able to play the game for the whole 17, 18-week season. So obviously that didn't help. But, I think the core guys, the McCaffreys, the Purdys, the Trent Williams, the Kittles, just all kind of the big name guys that have been on the team for quite a while have been doing very, very well in training camp and preseason when they do play. Let's see, rookies. They've been pretty decent. Michael Williams has been hurt a little bit. Upton Stout's been hurt. We got a Jordan Watkins game yesterday, the first game, and he did pretty well. So I think they'll be okay. There's obviously some concerns with McCaffrey coming back from his injury and his surgeries, and then Ayuk not going to be ready for the first week of the season. Probably that's going to be, from what Shanahan said, I believe it's like week 5 or week 6. So they'll be without Ayuk for a while. But from what I've seen in training camp and preseason, I think Ricky Pearsall is going to cruise. So far, in my opinion, he is the wide receiver 1 of this year. He had a very good game yesterday for the limited amount of time he played, and I just think it's going to be a good season. Do I think they're going to get back to the Super Bowl? I don't know. That's tough to do. Obviously, they've shown that they can do it. There's no reason that they really can't. But with all these new guys, it's kind of tough. So I think they'll make the playoffs. Absolutely, I do. I mean, there's no reason they should be finishing last in their division again. I think the Seahawks are not going to be as good as people chalk them up to be. I don't think the Rams are going to be as good as people chalk them up to be. So we'll see. And just another thing, this is going to be a shorter podcast just because I don't have anyone to talk to. I'm just kind of yapping and rambling. So if this gets boring, I apologize. But we are all right. Let's get to it. So like I said before, preseason, 2 weeks in. They got one more week to go, and they play. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Let's see. Let me pull it up real quick. I totally forgot who they play. The Chargers. That's fun. There's a funny inside joke there. My old roommate is a Chargers fan, and we just harass him about it all the time. Even in April, when there's just not even anything remotely close to football. Well, I guess there's a draft, but you just get him going. So it's really fun. Anyways, week 1. The Broncos came into town and whooped the Niners' rear end. 39 was the final score. I didn't get to watch that one. I was at a wedding, but I kind of just looked at the box score and the highlights, and it was not a lot of people on the offense could really get anything going. And obviously the same for the defense, letting up 30 points. It's not great. And again, you take what you can. It's preseason. The starters are not playing the full game. So it's just kind of a thing to test out who can really play. And I don't think this first game against the Broncos really showed what the Niners are capable of. Obviously, I can't remember the last time the Niners lost 30-9 that badly. Let's see here. Stat-wise for that game, 3 quarterbacks entered the game: Mac Jones, Carter Bradley, and Tanner Mordecai. Mac Jones, 4 for 7, 74 yards, no touchdowns. There was not a touchdown scored this game, obviously. One interception. So then that was his first game as a Niner. Carter Bradley, 6 for 14, 32 yards, one interception. And then Tanner Mordecai, 3 for 6, 21 yards, one interception. There was not a rating. There was not a quarterback rating above 55 in that game. Again, take what you will from that. I'm not looking too harshly on that. The Broncos are a very, very good team. Obviously, their defense is very good. I think they'll be one of, if not the best in the league. So take what you will. Let's see who stood out. Okay, Jordan Watkins, the rookie out of, I believe, I don't want to mess this up. I have it written down. No, I don't. Ole Miss, that's what I thought. Drafted at Ole Miss. Let's see. 3 receptions for 56 yards. 50 yards was his longest, which is pretty cool. Shows that he is a threat downfield. And that's kind of huge with Ayuk gone. Obviously, Pearsall is a threat downfield. I think Ayuk was a bigger threat downfield. And Jennings is also still there, we think. So, yeah, Watkins had a great game. Demarcus Robinson got his first touches as a Niner, 20 yards, 2 receptions, 2 targets. So, I'm interested. I'm actually very interested to see what Demarcus Robinson can do. He was a solid piece for the Rams. Obviously, one that helped them with their really, really good year last year. So we're gonna see what the deal is with him. I think he can be pretty good as like a wide receiver 2 or 3. Just kind of depending on the Ayuk and Jennings situation, depending on when Ayuk comes back and if Jennings does come back. I think Pearsall is going to be. We'll talk about him a lot later, but I think he's going to be the 2 guy at the beginning of the season. Actually, probably the 1 guy at the beginning of the season, depending on what Jennings does. And obviously, we know Ayuk is more than likely confirmed not going to be ready for the beginning of the season. On the rushing side, we've got Corey Kiner, 10 carries for 45 yards. 10 yards is his longest. Amir Abdullah, kind of very similar. 10 yards is his longest, but 4 carries for 20 yards. And then Patrick Mordecai getting into the run game from the QB position for 15 yards. Just 1 rush, 1 run was all he got. And that was pretty cool. 15 yards for the kid. Defensive-wise, this is going to be – I'm not really going to talk a whole lot about the defense for this game. They just didn't – they weren't great. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of faces that left. These are all starters that – or not starters. These are all players that could be on the roster but will not. Probably won't start, at least for the beginning part of the season. So, yeah, just kind of overall takeaways from that game. Obviously the defense was not great. I just said that. The offense had some work to do. The quarterback room is looking a little iffy. What are you going to do? I think Mac Jones obviously has been in the league for a while. He's shown that he is a NFL ready quarterback. Maybe not the best NFL ready quarterback, but he is indeed a NFL ready quarterback. So it's that was an interesting one. I'm not too sure what to really take about it. mainly just because I didn't watch it. But I think, first preseason game to me has kind of always been like a whatever. Let's see here. Now, game 2, that was yesterday. The Niners went into Las Vegas, Sin City, and took down the Raiders 22-19 off of a Jake Moody game-winning walk-off. That's right. You don't hear that very often. Shout out to Jake Moody. I hope he has a bounce back year, man. I mean, he's gotten a lot of flack from the fans, me being one of them. But, it's kind of feel like Shanahan has him on the roster for a reason. It's hard to let go of a kicker that you drafted in the third round. Questionable decision by the front office there. Whatever. Let's see here. Yeah, like I said, 22-19 off of a Jake Moody walk-off field goal. 5 for 6. His long was 59, and that would have been a career long if it was in a regular season game. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully that kind of gives him some confidence. Hopefully that gives the fans some confidence that he can make these long field goals. He can make them under pressure. We saw that in the Super Bowl. He was under a lot of pressure, and he just kind of blew it. Anyways, now let's kind of go from offense to defense here. Mac Jones was the brunt work guy yesterday. 13 for 16. This is a much better game than the Broncos game. 13 for 16, 135 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. But I mean, just seeing the amount of work he put in yesterday and only missing 3 passes, that gives me a lot of hope. 8.4 average throw or average distance. I don't really know how to explain that. I told you I'm going to sound like an idiot, and I have sounded like an idiot for 17 minutes now. Sorry. It's work in progress. I'll get better at this. Let's see. Carter Bradley, 8 for 13, 96 yards. No interceptions, rating of 84.1. Mac Jones, I don't know if I mentioned the rating, 75.8 rating for him. So about 20 points different or better than last week. And then Brock Purdy got the first drive of the day. Long one, 5 for 7, 66 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, didn't get sacked. And rating of 100.9. So it's pretty clear that Brock Purdy is the guy. We've known this. He just got his big old contract extension. So I'm very, very excited to see what he can do this year. I really, really hope he can keep it up. I hope he doesn't regress after getting paid. I don't think that's the kind of guy that he is. Let's turn this like and subscribe thing off. I don't think that's the kind of guy he is. I think just from every single press conference that he's been a part of, like he's like, oh, I'm just here to win for my guys. I want to put them in the best situation that I can. Shows a lot about work ethic, team morale. Everyone on the team trusts him, loves him. I mean, you kind of could see it from his first few games in the league as a starter. Like everyone was kind of uncertain about what he could do. Obviously, being the last pick in the draft, you're a little skeptical, but the team saw it right away. They saw it in training camp. They said, "Hey, this guy can be really, really good," and obviously he has shown that. Kittle's been his guy from day one, so I think that's huge. Having a quarterback that's not really gonna mail it in just because he got 200 something mil, and that's something that I think some quarterbacks don't have. They just kind of be like, all right, well, I had a great 3-4 rookie years, or however long you've been playing, you kind of been getting underpaid, and then you get the bag, and you're like, oh, well, I proved what I can do. Now I'm just gonna kind of like dick off. So, I think it's gonna be fun, and I'm stoked to have him around for the next 5-6 years. Rushing, very pass heavy game. I would say, let's see, 64 total rushing yards for the team. One rushing touchdown, which was actually the only touchdown of the game, scored by Niner. Scored by former and current Niner Jeff Wilson Jr. Came back from, I believe, the Dolphins. Speaking of him, he had a 8 carry for 16 yards, 1 touchdown. That was a 1-yard rush, kind of up the left middle. It was pretty fun to watch. Good to see Unk doing his thing again. Best, most effective rusher of the day. I wouldn't, like, if you want to call it that, Keyshawn Vaughn, 9 carries, 24 yards. And right behind him, Corey Kiner, 2 carries for 23 yards. So whatever, right? And then Mac Jones got into the rush game a little bit. Actually, all the quarterbacks did. Mac Jones, Carter Bradley, and Brock Purdy. None of them put up more than 5. So we won't talk about that. But yeah, rush game was good. Obviously, CMC is not playing. He might play next week. I'm not too sure, but it's good to see some of the backups, especially with Garendo, I believe, going down with an injury a few weeks ago. That's pretty good to see that there's still some running room for some other guys. And, Shanahan has been saying the more backs, the better. And that's been showing because they're all hurt. Anyways, receiving. This was fun. Let's see. 297 receiving yards by the entire team. A lot of people got some love yesterday. Robbie Chosen, the leading receiver, 5 receptions for 92 yards, 7 targets. Hold on. Apologies about the delay. Anyways, what was I just talking about? I can't remember. We'll go receiving. Yep, receiving. Okay. Yeah, I think I mentioned I'm really excited to see what Demarcus Robinson has got going. Ricky Pearsall, I can't remember how many drives he played. It might have just been the first one or two. 3 receptions for 42 yards. Like I said, I'm very excited about what Ricky can do this year. I think he showed flashes of what he could, of what he's really, really capable of last year. Obviously, he was a dog at Florida. Everyone knows that insane one-handed grab that he pulled off. That has been engraved in my memory ever since he did it. I'm a fan. I'm a sucker for insane college plays, and especially one-handed grabs like that. So I'm very, very excited to see what he's got to offer. Like I said, I believe he'll be at least the 2 to start the season, maybe even the 1 to start the season, depending on what the Juwan Jennings saga is. And I don't think I have an update for you on that. But if I do, then I will put it on Instagram. Anyways, yeah, just a lot of people got reps in the receiving game. Just go over the names. Russell Gage Jr. got in there. Isaiah Hodgins, Tariq Owens, Jeff Wilson Jr., Unk got in there. Luke Farrell, Jake Tongas, Braden Willis, Corey Kiner, and Keyshawn Vaughn. And one more, Junior Bergen, for 1 yard. Anyways, let's go defense. Now, this is something that I watched him. I watched the highlights of the game this morning, and I'm a little bit nervous. They kind of were just letting the Raiders kind of run all over. The secondary, obviously, we know the secondary needs a lot of work. Still, the draft really helped that. The secondary needs some work. I think the D line just wasn't kind of up to Niner standard, even with the bring back of Robert Saleh. I don't really know how that fits into this, but I think there's growing pains for a lot of the guys that have been on the team for a while, and the new guys. I wouldn't say I'm worried at all. Obviously, there's some concerns when you watch the film and you see kind of what's happening there. I think they'll be okay. So, yeah, I think we'll get a lot better look in the Chargers game to see what the starting defense does and really kind of how that's going to play out. Let's go to let's kind of switch beats here. Offensive line. That's more scary to me than the defense. It's just like sometimes they were good. Sometimes they were able to really hold the pocket, keep it from collapsing. Give Purdy, Jones, and what was his name? Good Lord, Carter Bradley, some time to really kind of think about their throws, really scan the field, make sure they're getting to the right guy. But then the other times, like you just see Max Crosby just kind of run right to the quarterback, like just not really even give a damn about if there was a guy in his way, because it kind of seemed like for a lot of his runs and his sacks that there wasn't anyone in his way. Speaking of sacks, what are we at? Team, they took 2. Carter Bradley took all of them. So a little bummer for him, but I kind of think sometimes the pocket was collapsing a little earlier than it should. Granted, this is not the starting offensive line. Trent Williams didn't see the field. I believe he shouldn't be hurt. I don't think he might be hurt. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not worried. Or shouldn't say I'm not worried. I'm optimistic, but at the same time, there's some doubt in my mind. And then we get to the guy who did the thing really well yesterday, surprisingly. Where is he? There he is. Jake Moody. Like I said before, I believe I already said this. 5 for 6. 80. Nope. Don't need the percentage. 5 for 6 on the field goals. 59 long. 1 extra point for the young man. Combining for 16 of the Niners' 22 points. So, like I said, 1 touchdown. 59 was his career long. Obviously not official, because it was not in a regular season game. I think I kind of already talked about him. That might have been when I got a phone call. I'm kind of, I'm really excited to see what Moody does this year. He, drafted 3rd round. It's kind of hard to give up on a kicker that you drafted that early. But we've seen him. He's obviously not the most trustworthy kicker of all time. I wouldn't even say he is trustworthy really at all. There were some close field goals yesterday. I believe there was one that was like a 20 something yarder, that 20 or 30 something yarder that snuck into the uprights by, I don't know, that much, like the screen. So obviously there's still some concerns there, but I really, really hope he can do well. So, and it was also interesting that they released, who did they release? It wasn't Greg Joseph, was it? Joseph. I can't remember who. Yes, it was Greg Joseph. I'm good. They released him. So that kind of, obviously that solidified the kicking position. And I know a lot of fans were a little confused and maybe a little bit pissed off that they released Greg Joseph, who is a veteran, 31 years old. I mean, he's been around the league for a while. He's been a very, very proven kicker. So I think I don't really know why they released him. Obviously, you don't really need more than one kicker, but I think keeping him on the roster a little longer just to give Moody a little bit of confidence, a little bit of extra veteran help. Joseph probably knew he wasn't going to be the kicker, so I think giving him a little bit of help, a little bit of confidence, being like, "Hey, this is what you kind of like need to do to really avoid these drastic misses that loses you Super Bowls." I think that would have been good, but obviously the Niners in the front office did not see that, and he's gone. So Moody is the kicker. And who knows? I mean, I really hope he has a better year. You could kind of tell that a lot of the criticism was getting to him. He's like, I'm really, really trying, but it just wasn't working. So who knows? Like I said, I'm rooting for the kid. I mean, if it comes to like if we're in week 8 and he's missed 4 or 5 game-winning field goals, my love's gonna change, obviously, because you can't do that if you're fighting for a division title and potentially a Super Bowl win. You have to be complete. You have to have a great team. And if Moody is not doing his part, then I think he's. What else do I have on here? I talked about defense, injuries. All right, this is where we get fun. Let's see. On August 16th, here's the injury report. Dominic Puny, not Puny. Possible PCL injury yesterday. Expected to miss a few weeks. Patrick Taylor Jr. dislocated shoulder yesterday. Corey Kiner, high ankle sprain on his left ankle. CJ West didn't play. Michael Williams, knee injury, didn't play. Upton Stout, calf injury, did not play. Let's see. Nick Bosa wasn't going to play anyways, but he is dealing with some neck soreness. Jordan Watkins, on August 11th, he was nursing a high ankle sprain, roughly 1 month out. So that was after the first preseason game. And that's not very fun. So we'll kind of stop with the modern injuries at August 11th. Amir Abdullah, injury reserve on last Monday with a rib injury. Brandon Ayuk, kind of confirming what I said earlier in the episode. Week 6 could be a realistic target for Ayuk to take the field. Obviously, still recovering and nursing that ACL injury that took him out, I believe, week 8 last year. Let's see. Anything else that needs anything? On August 10th, when the preseason game happened, Robert Beal, defensive end, groin injury. Jordan Elliott, back injury. And that's kind of it. Fabian Moreau, just kind of undisclosed, didn't play in the Denver game. And then one more that we'll look at. Where is it? Jordan James, rookie running back out of Oregon. He will miss a couple weeks due to a broken finger. This was on August 7th. So, injury bug, it's here. It's kind of unreal, in my opinion. I don't really know how the Niners keep getting this unlucky. Obviously, the team was crushed with injuries last year, and that kind of partly led to their 6-11 season record. And now they're just kind of down a whole lot of players, and you really do hate to see it. Already on, like, just adding to the list of injuries that happened during training camp or before training camp, or whatever. So it's kind of tough to see the amount of injuries that this Niners team keeps racking up. I'm not too sure what's to blame for that. Could it be like a trainer issue? I really don't know. Are these guys not coming into training camp in shape at all? Or is it just football? Contact sport, very, very heavy sport. We've seen clips. It's a heavy sport. So most likely it's just the fact that this is a really, really tough sport. It's you're getting hit 20 times throughout the day, whether it's in practice or in a game. And obviously they're gonna hit harder during games. Because your opponent's trying to win, and they're not going to be like, oh, well, sorry, you're feeling funny. I'll just kind of let you, I'll just tap you. They're not going to do that. They don't care. They're like, no one's ever going to try and injure you, but sometimes if a player gets injured on the opposite team, the opposing team is like, oh, well, they're down a player. Now we have an advantage. It's tough to see, after last season, and already seeing the amount of injuries on the injury report this season, with the regular season being 2 weeks away still. A lot of these guys are going to miss the final preseason game when guys really need to kind of step it up and show what they're made of. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Okay, that's kind of all everything I really wanted to talk about. Let's see, just kind of like my thoughts on how the season's gonna go. I kind of already think I touched on it a little bit at the beginning of the episode, I believe, but I'm excited. I love football's fun. Football to me is the best time of the year aside from baseball season. It's just it's going to be fun. It's going to be an interesting season. I really think the Niners, they should win their division. Their easiest schedule in the league, I believe the record is like a 4.4 something, like a 4.49 or 0.46 or whatever. There is no reason that this team shouldn't go 12-5 or 13-4. No reason. They're facing fairly easy teams. Let me pull up the schedule actually really quickly. There is no reason that this team shouldn't win this division. The Rams have it tough because they won the division last year. I think the Cardinals are going to be an interesting team to kind of figure out. I think the Seahawks are going to digress. So let's see. There's some winnable games here. The Jaguars, the Falcons, the Giants, the Browns, the Panthers, the Titans, the Colts, I was going to say the Bears, but they might be okay. I mean, it's fairly easy. A lot of those teams didn't get better. I know the Bears might have got better. The Colts kind of stood still. The Giants, they have Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors. Who knows how that'll work? But I think it's going to be a fun season. Do I think they'll win the NFC? I was going to say NL. That's funny. Do I think they're going to win the NFC? I don't know. They have a shot. Kind of depends on how they play the good teams that they are facing. So let's pull those guys up. The Rams, the Seahawks, they always play them well. Kind of just all the division rivals is who the Niners really need to pin in on and focus and play well. Because if they can beat them, then there's really no reason why this team should not be able to compete. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, another bad team, the Saints. They'll go 0-17. Anyways, or 1-7, 1-16. Who knows? But just kind of key in on the really, really good teams, and play them like it's your Super Bowl. Burn them to the ground, pound them. I think if, like I just said, like 19 billion different times in the past 2 seconds, if they can beat those teams handedly, there is no reason why this team should not be able to get to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. Winning the Super Bowl is going to be tough. The NFC is very, very good. The Eagles are the best team in the league. Let's see, who else? The Buccaneers, who the Niners actually play. So that's another team they really need to key in on. The Commanders, I think, are going to be good again. The Lions are going to be good. So it's tough. There's 4 or 5 teams that I just mentioned off the top of my head that are all going to be competing for the NFC title. So, I was going to say the Cowboys, but I don't really know about that. Throw them in there. Cowboys. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a fun year. I think there's potential. I think there's potential for some rough scenes. You never really know. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got. We're going to go music again. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry, this was probably the worst podcast you've ever listened to. But I really, I tried. So if there's any Niners or Warriors content creators that want to get on a podcast and really kind of get their knowledge out there, get it heard, let me know. I'm super stoked to get people on this thing. I love it. It's a blast just kind of sitting here and talking shop for nearly 45 minutes now. It's a blast. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow the Instagram. These first two episodes will be up on any podcast platform as soon as I can get that figured out. All right. Thanks, guys.